many years. I know I can speak for my fellow colleagues that we are thrilled to see this moving forward in a meaningful way, and I'd like to turn the time over to you now.
Thank you very much. So, appreciate that, and I know the board has had comments about this, and we've had many discussions at cabinet, and we just wanted to kind of give you a verbal audit of status at the moment and let you know where we're looking to proceed going forward from here in reviewing the district's compliance with Title IX, especially vis-a-vis athletics. So we've had folks from the Department of Ed, the Title IX director there, as well as from OSAA come discuss with the cabinet and do some training on Title IX and what it is, what it isn't, the nuts and bolts. And right now we are in the process of engaging them in conducting an audit or review of the district's compliance. This is a bit of a new procedure for them. The Department of Ed and OSAA are looking to sort of develop a collaborative model whereby they can provide this as a service to districts around the state. So we are a little bit of a guinea pig for them, but the experts are there. You'll find no better expert than Cindy Simmons at the OSAA, who is no stranger to the district, and then Karen Moscon, who is the Title IX coordinator for the Department of Ed, is the foremost compliance officer in the state for that. Just to give you a sense, I did meet with the department today, and I just want to give you a sense of the path going forward on this. We are awaiting essentially a formal recommendation from them on how they want to conduct this. But roughly what would happen is we would go through an information gathering period. They would send us a list of information that they need, documents they want, things like athletic budgets, etc., game schedules, uniform replacement schedules, the like. We would supply them with all that information. They would then do site visits to any number or all of our high school sites and conduct interviews with coaches, athletic directors, staff, students, etc. on site, as well as district staff here. And then there would be sort of the natural follow-up. They probably would have some additional information and inquiries they have, and then they would complete that by issuing a report with some findings in it, suggesting areas where we might be out of compliance. Unlike a process that is driven by a direct complaint to the Office of Civil Rights or to Karen at the department, this would not contain corrective action from them, but rather point out where we might look at the holes that exist in our program. We would, of course, look to follow that up immediately with a plan of action from the school district, outlining how we would address those findings and how we would close the gap to ensure that all of our students have equal access to opportunities in our athletic program. In my conversation with them, I think we're looking at the 6 to 8 month time frame for completing the entirety of getting to that point of a report and a plan of action from us. But again, it's a little bit of a new process for them, so I think we'll kind of see how it goes going forward. We should have a good sense as we go into February. We will be receiving the plan from them about how to proceed, so that will firm up our timelines going forward.
Other questions from board members? Superintendent.
David or Camelia, can you just briefly, I know everybody looks at Title IX and they equate it strictly with athletics, but maybe just a brief description of it goes far beyond athletics.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Title IX addresses any kind of discrimination or inequities that may exist in programs as it relates to gender. It's also a vehicle for students or their families if they feel they're being discriminated or treated differently based on their gender to file a complaint against the district. So that may be some examples over the past could be single gendered classes. They could be, in terms of access to resources within a school or school district. It's also an area that we see a lot of complaints coming for how districts are handling sexual harassment, sexual violence, and those sorts of claims being made student on student within those schools. And so having our complaint processes and procedures will be looked at to ensure that students know where to go and who to go to and those pieces there.
Questions, concerns? We're looking forward to getting the timeline. We are really really thrilled that we are moving forward with this important work. I've been thinking back to a work session, too long ago, probably 2.5 years now, where we started just looking at facilities, and we, at that time, understood it was much bigger, and so we are really excited to be moving forward with the right work here, to be getting a better understanding of how we support students and what we need to do to make sure we're serving them well. All right, with that, we are going to take a break, and I